Hello, this is Ashee from Crafting with Ashee, and welcome to this paper crafting card making tutorial. I hope you enjoy the project I have to share with you today. It's a little card here that I made using one of my favourite new stamp sets from the annual catalogue called Inspirational Sketches, and it has a very whimsical autumn feel to the card. So let me show you. Here it is. And I kept the tones very muted, so you've got the lovely red pop of colour, but everything else is very muted with browns and beige, cream and such like. So I'm going to show you how I made this very simple card today. So let's get started. We're going to stamp here. This is a stamp set, Inspirational Sketches, and we're using these toadstools here, but I love the other images here. And so I've got my toadstools on acrylic block, and I'm going to be stamping on some very vanilla cardstock. Now this very vanilla measures 14.35 centimeters by 10 centimeters, and we're going to be stamping here not with Memento Tuxedo Black, but with Pecan Pie ink, or pecan pie, whatever you want to call it, and we will still be colouring and using our Stampin' Blend alcohol markers. And I want to show you that it does work. You just need to make sure your ink is totally and utterly dry so nothing will smear or move. So there we go, there's a lovely image of our toadstools. Isn't it beautiful? So let's close up our ink pad quickly and give our little stamp as well a bit of a clean, because I'm a great believer, if you ever watch my videos, of cleaning up as you go along. It saves a lot of hassle afterward, and it stops you plonking a dirty stamp in your beautiful project that you've just created. Okay, so now I have a piece here of Designer Series paper, DSP, and this is the Country Woods, and this also measures 14.35 centimeters by 10, and we're going to do a little heat embossing here. So we're going to use the sentiment from the same set that says "Thank you for everything," and I'm just using my grid paper to try and get everything lined up. Okay, and we're going to put a little bit of powder down, so embossing powder will only stick where there's Versamark ink, so give that a nice little coverage. And then we are going to heat emboss it in white embossing powder. So we are going to use here Versamark clear ink. So just ink up your stamp set, your image rather, or your sentiment or whatever. I usually make sure it's nice and inky and nice and sticky. Versamark is a clear sticky ink that we use to heat emboss with quite often. So I'm just going to push that down, hold, give it a little press, and straight up, and you won't see anything because it is a clear sticky ink. You'll only see something now when we actually heat emboss. So this is white embossing powder, so let's just pour this all over here and give it a little tap. I'm going to just put a bit more in case there's anywhere I missed. A little bit of a tap from the back. There we go. And now if there is any powder where you don't want it to be, if you just use a very fine paintbrush like you can see me doing here, and you can just remove the powder from anywhere where you think there shouldn't be any powder. Okay, so let's put our powder back in our little box here, in our little tub, trying not to make a mess. I'm not always very successful at that, but we will try. Okay, so now let's heat set this. So I'm going to take my heat tool, and I've let it heat up for about 30 seconds before I brought it to my project, and I keep moving it all over the project, as you can see, until the powder goes nice and shiny. And you can see I also gave my image a little waft with the heat tool, so it was nice and dry. So now we're going to start colouring, and we are going to use the Stampin' Blend alcohol markers, as I said. And the colours are listed and linked in the description box below that I've used. They're mainly here, as you can see, Poppy Parade, Pecan Pie, Crumb Cake, those colours. And I've used some of our neutral colours as well. And I'm going to go in here, as you can see, I'm just putting my darker colour first, where I think there's the sketchy lines are giving me the idea that there's creases or shadows. So I'm just going to do all of my red first, and then I'll do all the other colours. So you can see here, sometimes I start with my dark, sometimes I start with my light. It really depends on the image, what I'm colouring, and also the colour that I'm using for me. So there I've put down my darker colour, so now I'm going to go into the lighter one and blend all of that out, as you can see here, just gently blend it out. And if you feel you've blended too much out, you can go back in with your darker colour and add some of those shadows back in. So I do love the Stampin' Blend alcohol markers. They are one of my favourite colouring mediums. They're very easy to use, very easy to blend. You have 2 colours per colour, so you have a light and dark of Poppy Parade, a light and dark of Pecan Pie, etc. And if you want a medium colour, you can also, for example, add another colour in. So, for example, I can use Poppy Parade and Real Red together, or Real Red and Cherry Cobbler together. So you can mix and match as well. So now you can see him just doing the toadstools, the bases, the underneath where all the spores are. And again, I'm just using some of my pecan pie for that. And now I'm just going through my neutral colours here, deciding which one I want to use. And I'm going to use this to blend everything out. And then I'm going to go back in, you'll see, with some darker colours, just to add in some shadows and highlights so that the image has a lot more interest. Now, I don't know about you, but I love seeing the mushrooms in the wild, growing on trees or on the ground. I think they're just such strange things as a mushroom. It's so different from any other plant or, you know, anything else that you'll see growing in the woodlands or mushrooms. They're just very strange. So quite fascinated by them at times. So that is our image there coloured in. So now we're just going to cut it out using the nested rectangle dies, and you can see here they are. They're the nested essentials, and I'm going to use the rectangle, there you go, to cut that out. So you can see here I've cut it out, and now I'm going to mat it on a piece of Pecan Pie Designer Series paper. So I'm just going to put some glue on the back here, and I'm a Tombow girl. I love my Tombow mono adhesive. So just going to put that down with a roughly the same amount around each edge, and then I'm just going to use my trimmer here just to cut that out, just eyeballing it, and then a bit on this side. Yeah, it looks about right. It'll do me. Maybe a little hair off that. Okay, now I want to round these corners, so I'm going to bring in my corner rounder and I'm going to round them, and this is the way I'm going to get a larger mat, because we used the largest of the rectangles from the nested essentials, so I wanted something that's a bit larger. Now I want to mat it again on another piece of Very Vanilla, so I'm going to use this piece that I cut something out of already, and we got to the center for our main image, and now we're going to just, as you can see, stick our image over the hole and cut this out again. And this is a great way to, you know, use your paper up so that you don't waste anything, you know. I've got to the center out, and now I can use the outside as my frame still, and we have no waste, and those pieces will go into the scrap pile as well. Okay, so I've got a bit of adhesive I can think on the back of my grid paper, so I've just turned it over, and now I'm just going to round the corners here. There we go, and there is our piece. Lovely jubbly. Alright, so let's start to assemble our card. Actually, before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of ink blending, and all I'm doing here is taking my crumb cake ink and my blending brush, and I'm just dirtying up our image. Excuse me, I'm just dirtying it up. As you can see, I'm just blending a little bit so you don't see any of the harsh Very Vanilla, so it looks just a little bit more vintage, a little bit more shabby chic. Okay, so let's stick down our piece of Country Wood Designer Series paper that we heat embossed to the front. We have a Very Vanilla card base. There's a standard A6 card base. That's an A4 sheet cut in half and then folded in half. Now I'm going to put on the back of our focal image a piece of adhesive foam sheet, because it's quite a big image, and I'm just taking the backings off here, and then we're just going to stick that at the top like that. There we go. And then finishing touches, I have some of these swirly dots, and we're just going to stick a few here and there over our project, and there we go. So I hope you liked the project. If you did, I'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up so YouTube know. And please don't forget to subscribe to future videos. Remember, you can find all my social media links and the link to my blog post in the description box below. So thank you again, and until next time, enjoy being creative. Bye.